It's absolutely apptacular. The Subject Cinema Android app. Everything you need to be a rabid Subject Cinema fan. Subject Cinema, 3-Minute Weekend, Tuesday Digidex, and Front Row 5 and 10. All right at your fingertips and available instantly. Plus, email and voicemail links, Facebook and Twitter hookups, Patreon support specials, and more is coming real soon. Don't just listen, app it. The all-in-one Subject Cinema podcast app. Android version available now at Google Play or on PNR Network websites. Amazon and iPhone apps coming soon. Don't delay. Download today.
Blueberry. This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
All right, put the blaster down.
Oh, do I have to?
You're just because you think you're Han Solo right now does not mean you need to have a blaster.
I got the safety on.
Yeah, I know. And then pretty soon I'll have like a blaster hole through my monitor.
No, you don't have to worry about that. The one in the carpet might be a problem. But
as if you haven't guessed, we have a review of Solo, a Star Wars story this week. Also, a review of the British film The Party, the return of the dramatic Chipmunk, and a few other things. All right here, right now, on this Memorial Day. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
Let's have some fun.
This week on Subject Cinema.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
This town needs an enema.
Celebrating a decade of film podcasting. Lasting out of Beantown, USA, you're tuned into Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
Directive.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
I volunteer as tribute.
Suppose you run your business and let me run mine. Here's looking at you, kid.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
Good day, everybody.
Hi.
I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
Welcome to Subject Cinema number 607. Day and date, Memorial Day 2018, May 28th. We decided to wait till Monday because we had the holiday off and it was just a little bit easier and we could work things out a little bit better because we're in the middle of spring cleaning and it's going crazy. We will be back on our regular time this coming Saturday. So how are you?
Good.
It's good. Things are getting better and better here.
Yeah, things are
thank you
along.
for everybody who's been writing to me about my mom's passing, and I much appreciate it.
We do appreciate that, yes.
Got a lot of stuff going on. Before we get started on this week's show, though, which is jam-packed with all kinds of cool stuff, I want to bring some attention to you. Because I was missing for most of May due to the aforementioned passing of my mother, we have not gotten to our coverage of the Boston Springs Festival season. We are going to be bringing you all of that stuff together we're going to try and get it into 3 shows, and it's going to happen in July. I know that's a long time to wait, but it's still, it'll give us time to maybe actually get to see a few of the movies, which we haven't done, a lot of them, and talk more about the festivals themselves. And we'll have the PDF out at the same time. I do apologize for all that, but I've been working on stuff right now, and so they will be on. We'll talk about all 9, things in July, plus the other series. And I appreciate your patience, and I feel like that's kind of really doing the months in March and a disservice. That's 4 months, like Salem and all those, but it will still get the word out. We'll still have the reviews. We got 8 movies to review from Salem, plus a lot more to go. So, I mean, you heard some of them on the Travelogue show, but the full reviews will be coming out, plus other films. Second of all, Subject Cinema. Let me find the date. I didn't look it up. Subject Cinema will celebrate its 12th anniversary on Saturday, June 16th, 2018. And we would like our loyal fans to please comment. Now, we're not asking you for much. All we're asking you to do is drop us a quick voicemail on our SpeakPipe or a quick email saying why you enjoy listening to Subject Cinema. I know you're out there. The numbers are showing you're out there. We just don't hear from you. And I want to know what makes this show work for you. And we're going to read some of them and talk about them on our anniversary show. And we hope that you will take that time, that 3 or 4 minutes. It says, I know I'll hear from Eric. I know I'll hear from Anthony. But they, as much as I love to hear from both of them, they don't really count. They're part of the family. So it's like,
they count. I mean,
they count, but it's not people we don't normally hear from. So please drop us a line at subjectcinema@PNRNetworks.com or go over to our SpeakPipe. The phone number is in our show notes, and give us a buzz. You can leave a message. I think it's up to 5 minutes long. And we definitely want to have you as part of our anniversary program. So please be there. There's all kinds of stuff going on. We're prepping for the anniversary show too, including something really nice that we're not going to talk about until that day. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We hope you will be watching for that. And don't forget, if you've forgotten from last year, the PNR Subject Cinema eCinemaOne Rising Stars Honors are now on Labor Day weekend. They are on Labor Day.
Yes,
we moved it last year. It's just easier. That way we get to see all the summer blockbusters and have a larger contingent of young stars to look at.
Yep.
So don't forget, we won't be doing that on July 4th, although we may be doing a show on July 4th. I don't know when does the 4th of July fall this year? Let me look
I'm
real
not
quick here.
sure exactly.
I'll find out. It is in the middle of the week, so we
it's a
probably won't have
Wednesday,
one
yeah,
on that. Oh, that's going to be fun. 2 days of work, a day off, and 2 more days of work.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Anyway, everything seems to be going crazy, and we hope you'll enjoy everything.
Yep.
As we get there. So how have you been?
I've been fine. I think I've been doing pretty okay.
Okay.
All things considered. It's, we're at the end of May, looking, June's starting to peek over the horizon.
June's about to bust out all over.
Lucky her.
Better put a bra on.
Although, to be perfectly honest, today, May 28th, is it's Memorial Day. A lot of people consider it the first unofficial day of summer. All of that stuff. You wouldn't know it if you looked outside.
It's kind of dreary.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing.
And our friends in Maryland just got smacked.
Yeah, everybody
yesterday.
in Maryland who's been dealing with the floods, with the sudden rain they had. Peace to you guys. I hope everything's okay. But all on the news today, it's for May in New England. It's pretty cold. Yeah, and it's cloudy.
It's in the 50s,
and it was in the foggy.
It was in the 80s, almost 90 on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
this weather is perfect. I love it.
I know, it's not perfect. It's dreary and gringy.
It's perfect for me.
The temperature-wise, it's nice, but I'd like a little more sun.
The people on the news are
whining
about...
Although it looks like it's pretty good.
People on the news are whining about, it's cold. I'm like, no, it's not cold.
Well, that's because
perfect.
It's only... I mean, we're coming up on beach time and fun,
yeah, beach time, yeah. Beach time. Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't say we were coming up on beach time.
The only word that's going to be you missed a word in that sentence because the only other word that's involved, the only other thing people think of with me and beach is whale. So,
will you stop?
Well, it's true.
Like they don't think Jabba the Hutt should be there either.
It's...
And that's what I am, so we'll move on from there. Anyway, speaking of Jabba the Hutt, we've got a movie about one of his future employees coming up right here, right now, on the big screen.
Tonight's movie contains sights and sounds so impressive, you'll wonder why we didn't charge you admission. Candy and popcorn are available from our snack bar. As a courtesy to all in attendance today, please refrain from smoking or talking during our feature presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The movie is about to begin.
The main screen.
You're after something. Is it revenge? Money? Or is it something else? You look good. A little rough around the edges, but good.
Heard about a job. Big shot gangster putting together crew.
I'm a driver, and I'm a flyer. I waited a long time for a shot like this. What do you think? Well, what do you know?
You got a line on a ship?
Yeah, I know a guy. He's the best smuggler around.
I heard a story about you.
Been so damn long, I forgot what it was called. The main screen. It is the latest entry in the Star Wars franchise. It is a side entry like Rogue One, and it is good. Not without its little perks and quirks, and also its naysayers and lovers. And so we're going to look at it for you right now. Alden Ehrenreich, Donald Glover, Emilia Clarke, Tandy Newton, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Jonas Suotamo, Paul Bettany, and Woody Harrelson. Solo, a Star Wars story. Give us the rundown.
Solo, a Star Wars story takes place quite early on in... The rebellion hasn't really even gotten going yet from the sound of things at the beginning of the film. As the opening credits, after the opening... dialogue. No, that's not the word I want. The opening,
storyline,
not slanted line stuff.
Yeah, just spinning around on the screen.
Yeah, the galaxy is in a state of disorder. There are these syndicates of criminals all over the galaxy trying to establish footholds in places where the Empire's not looking, trying to control the populace, keep through getting a hold of as much food, as much fuel, as much anything as they can get their mitts on.
You hit a trigger word for me.
What?
Populace. Help control the rebel population. Have your spaceship spayed or neutered.
Shut up.
Sorry, Mr. Barker and Mr. Crary.
How about sorry to the Warsie that's now looking at you like she wants to smack you with the lamp? Anyway. And we begin on a planet called Corellia, which is a world that's most known for building ships, but apparently has run into a lot of hard times. A lot of children have been turned out of their homes. A lot of them are orphans, and they wind up being basically press-ganged into being part of these criminal organizations where they're forced to steal and do who know what else to survive by these awful people. And one of them is a young man who's known by the name Han, who is in love and partnered with a young woman named Kira. They wind up trying to escape the planet, and the problem is that Kira gets left behind. Han signs up to be part of the Imperial Navy. When he's asked by one of the people that's enlisting him what his name is, who his people are, he says he doesn't have any people, he's all alone. And the Imperial officer, apparently thinking he's the second coming of Oscar Wilde, decides to give Han the last name Solo.
He's standing there pondering it for a moment.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Your wit is stunning.
Anyway.
3 years later, we find out Han got kicked out of the Imperial Flight Academy because he was insubordinate. Wow, shocker. And he is an infant. He's still in the service of the Empire and is an infantryman person. He's in the infantry, let's do it that way, on the planet Mimban as one of the people that looks like they're basically being cannon fodder. And he winds up in the company of a group of criminals who have managed to get their hands on some Imperial uniforms and are playing like they're part of the army group, but they're really there to steal material. The leader of this group is a man named Tobias Beckett, who winds up taking Han and Han's alleged executioner, who turns into his rescuer, an enslaved Wookiee named Chewbacca, with them when they leave the planet. Tobias and the rest of his crew, which includes his wife, a woman named Val, and a creature with multiple arms, whose name has completely escaped me at the moment. And he winds up becoming part of their crew, and an attempt to rob a shipment of some valuable fuel winds up going terribly wrong, and Han and Chewbacca wind up in the debt of Han, Chewbacca, and Tobias, I should say, wind up in the debt of a criminal overlord named Dryden Voss. There are twists, turns, and a lot of double-crossing going on as Han finds his place in the galaxy and his place behind the wheel, for lack of a better word, the steering wheel, of a ship that the second Han claps eyes on it, he's determined to have. So why don't you go into the cast, everybody?
All right. That's interesting. With Alden Ehrenreich as young Han Solo, Woody Harrelson as Tobias Beckett, Emilia Clarke as Qi'ra, Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, the young version, of course, Tandy Newton as Val Beckett, Phoebe Waller-Bridge as the voice of L337, Jonas Suotamo as Chewbacca, Paul Bettany as Dryden Voss, plus Aaron Kellyman as Imphy's Nest, Jon Favreau, the voice of Rio Durant, who is the other character in that, and a few other people here and there, and a character that we haven't seen for a while.
No.
Who's voiced by Sam Witwer.
Yes.
Which I didn't realize. That seems kind of stupid.
I
but
know.
We'll go through that.
I was like, okay. Well, when I saw that character was back, I was like, what? Okay.
So, now we both had trepidations about this.
Yes, we
It's
did.
a prequel. The prequels have always been bad for Star Wars stuff. Oh, come on. You hate Attack of the Clones. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I do hate Attack of the Clones.
There's like a history of bad prequels. Rogue One broke that streak.
Yes, they did.
Now, what do you think is here? Can Ehrenreich stand in for Harrison Ford?
To be honest, I thought this was fun. I didn't think it was perfect, but I thought it was fun. I happen to think Alden Ehrenreich did a really good job. I think that because we really didn't know very much about who Han was before we see him for the first time in Star Wars, other than fan theories and, a lot of fanfic and things like that, and some books that were written by Alan Dean Foster back in the day, there was a lot, there was a lot of blank canvas that they could work with. I don't think he did a bad job.
Okay.
I think he was more than passable myself.
Okay. You're speaking as a severely passionate Warsie.
I am.
Right.
Well, I'm speaking this as a severely passionate Warsie, but I'm also speaking as me,
right,
who doesn't... I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sound like I'm a rugged individualist, but I would also like to bring up the fact that I do tend, on occasion, to be slightly contrary because I just am. If everybody else says something's green, I'm going to be like, well, it's green, but there's a little flecks of blue in there.
Like the crayon people we had actually skipped.
Oh, can we not talk about the crayon people? Please don't talk about the crayon people. That was freaking me the hell out. Don't talk about the crayon people.
Color Time is a segment of a show on Baby World. It's a channel for babies. We just happened to pop across it today, and we're like, what the
channels,
hell?
And I'm like, there's singing, dancing crayons.
Okay.
Oh my God, make it go away.
Anyway.
It was freaking me the hell out. Anyway, I happen to have a soft spot for Alden. I like him a lot. I've seen him in Blue Jasmine. I saw him in Hail
Caesar.
Caesar. I think he's a really fine young actor, and I think that he had... now, the thing is, a lot of people who have been complaining about this film since before it came out, actually a lot of people who have been complaining about this film
since it was announced.
Thank you. Their whole line of bitchery, besides, wah, wah, it's not what we want, wah, 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 is they're like, oh, well, he doesn't have Han's swagger, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Well, it's been no secret. It was no secret that Phil Miller and Chris Lord, or the other way around, Chris Miller and Phil Lord, whichever way it is, Miller and Lord, were canned because they were doing too much improvisational stuff. And when Ron Howard came in, he got a coach for Aaron Reich to try and get the Ford swagger better. And it shows. My point is, all the people bitching, moaning, whining, kvetching, and basically carrying on, oh, he doesn't have Han's swagger, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I don't know how to break it to you numbnuts, but you're not born with swagger. Swagger comes with experience. You learn how to have that kind of I don't give a crap and I'm a badass and stuff like that. You're not born with it. You learn how to have that throughout your life. And you know how you learn how to have that? You learn how to have that because you get constantly knocked down. Yeah.
Now, the point is, the people who are the people that lie on the ground and whine about it are the people that don't have the swagger. The people that get knocked down and get back up.
I call Chumbawamba.
And I'm trying to make a real big philosophical point here.
Well, I almost started singing People, so anyway, go ahead.
Don't.
I know. Anyway. I'm trying to make things fun.
The people who get knocked down and get up and realize, well, okay, we're going to have to show that we can't get hurt. That's where that swagger comes from.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That swagger is basically a psychic suit of armor that keeps you protected. You're not born with that shooting out of the womb.
Right.
That comes from experience.
But he's had experience already, but not fully what you think there isn't enough, right?
Not enough. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. The Han Solo that we see at the very beginning of the film, and the Han Solo we see after the 3 years, and the Han Solo that we see after the time that he's spent with Tobias and crew, you can see that swagger beginning. By the time we get to the end of the film, it's not completely there, but it's definitely
developing.
There. It's definitely there more than it is at the beginning of the film, and it's definitely to a point where if you sit there and be objective, and I realize asking some Warsies to be objective is extraordinarily difficult, so gird your loins, guys, and bear with me. You know, the whole idea of looking at the Solo that we see at the end of this film and the Solo that we first get introduced to in A New Hope, if you're objective about it, you can sit back and go, yeah, I can see how that guy goes from this to here.
Yeah, I see
At
where
least
you're coming
I
from.
can.
Yeah.
My problem with this film, it's not perfect, like I said. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And there are some very nice surprises. It's not perfect. My biggest problem with this film, and I hate saying this because I adore him, I find the lead villain very weak.
Yeah, that's the big problem with this film.
I really do.
I
hate that.
Can I jump in for a minute?
Sure, go ahead.
I loved the film, too, as far as fun goes. It was a romp and a half and lots of fun to watch. It was slow in places. But Paul Bettany replaced Michael K. Williams, who could not come back for the reshoots, and originally the character was supposed to be a CGI character. Bettany instead plays it as a physical character. The problem is there's so little character development for
Dryden
Voss that I really don't give a crap one way or the other what he is or what happens to him. I want I mean, he's obviously a badass, at least in his own mind. And I don't know. There's something about him that doesn't work. It was the biggest flaw in the film. And I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and I feel awful about saying that because I adore Paul Bettany.
Oh, I do too. He's fantastic in everything else. I mean, I loved him in Priest, which was so little seen.
Yeah.
And he's terrific as Vision in the Avengers universe. And Jarvis for that.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's really good.
I adore him. But it's just, I don't feel fear with this character. And it's not a question, I mean, not every single character is going to make you have that pants wetting, oh my God, I want my mom moment that, somebody like Leatherface is going to make you have. But you definitely, every villain has to make you have a visceral reaction. Whether it's a run off screaming into the night reaction or just this person's really making me uncomfortable and by the end of it, you're just completely like, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. That kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. You have to have that in your villain. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you have a big problem with your movie.
Yeah, I agree. The villain is very weak. One other thing, a few, if I may say, I really enjoyed the film too. Not as much as I enjoyed Rogue One, which I just think is the best Star Wars film ever. But it's like Donald Glover, spot on as the young Lando Calrissian. Yeah, he really
ridiculously
shows off that he's going to grow up and become super sophisticated and swab Billy D. Williams in 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. But the heart and soul of this movie belongs front, center, and square with Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson as
Tobias
Beckett is having so much fun making this film, and you can tell. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Harrelson, in his performance, you can tell if he's not really happy doing the film. Mm-hmm. You put him in that little pod where he's shooting everything in the Millennium Falcon, you could tell he is a kid in a candy store.
Well, the thing is, he's our generation.
But yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, he's a year older than me. I mean, he gets it, and it's obvious that he loves it, and he's so good in this film. I mean, I love Woody anyway. Most of the stuff he does, he is one of those, there's not very many American actors that have the ability to morph the way so many British actors and some Australian actors have proven to do. Mm-hmm. There's a few of them, and he's one of them. I mean, you can believe him whether he's playing LBJ or a serial killer or, whatever, and now here. I just loved him in this film. I love John Powell's score. It's very original while still invoking the John Williams sound and using the John Williams themes in places. Mm-hmm. It fits really, really well. There's a plot twist 2/3 of the way through the movie that I just don't buy. I mean, it's there, and they explain it, but it just seems very Howard-esque to me. Really? Because Ron Howard has this ability of throwing in these contrived little plot points that change the way the movie might go, but in the end really doesn't. And he does
it's not like an M. Night Shyamalan.
He does but he does it in practically every movie he does, and it's like, okay, should have seen this coming, and it's cool, but it is not believable, or is it? Some people have really liked it. Some people have thought it was the stupidest thing they've ever seen in a Star Wars film. I don't have a problem with it.
I liked it. I
just think it doesn't really lend anything to the story.
I think it could.
It could, if they go anywhere with it, and we'll talk about that when we get to the box office segment. It's like, there's potential, but it's like Howard threw this in as a throwaway to say, oh, we'll use this for the sequel. Like he did at the very end with a surprise cameo by a known Star Wars character, and it's like, wow, that's not what I saw coming. So, and don't do Quicksilver jokes with me.
I'm not gonna.
Well, you so like to do that. Overall, though...
You're not the only person that gets to wind people up in this house. If I have one button, I am going to push it.
Yeah, okay. Anyway,
you just have a lot more buttons to push with me. I have that one button. I'm going to push it.
Anyway. Overall, it's a fun, exciting... It does drag at times, but it's not enough that really cuts back on the enjoyment.
No.
And Alden is doing a more than competent job of capturing the youngish, still learning, still green Han, new last name Solo here, and he's not bad. He really isn't, and I think he'll probably play it again at some point. Maybe not in a sequel, but we'll see. So, what's your score?
I give it a B+.
I give it a B+ as well. Solo, a Star Wars story, is playing all over the country right now. See it while you can. It may not last as long as most people think.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
All right, Kristen, I am so excited that you've decided to do a podcast with me, but what are we going to do a podcast about? There's so many other movie podcasts. We got to do something original.
Well, I'm a big fan of Disney movies. What about something like that?
That's just kid stuff. What do we want to do that for?
Did you know that The Avengers is a Disney movie? Or that Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie?
Pulp Fiction is not a Disney movie.
It's technically owned by Miramax, which is part of Disney.
We are still going to talk about the Disney animated movies, though, right?
I thought you said that was kid stuff.
Well, I've got 2 kids. I got to be a good dad and stuff.
So be sure to subscribe to the Walt Sent Me podcast, where we discuss the various subsidiaries of the Walt Disney Studios, including the animated movies.
It's available on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts. And I swear, it's not kid stuff.
Subject Cinema.
So you know how what we think of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently not everybody agrees with us. Solo is the lowest grossing opening weekend Star Wars film in history.
Yeah.
Grossing in a 4-day weekend of just over $100 million. Grossing a 3-day weekend of $83 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, while Star Wars and all the original ones were lower than that, adjusted for inflation, they were all over $100 million. So it's like, this is really... wow, what happened? The critics liked it for the most part. It's been a mixture. Some critics like the film but don't like certain aspects of it. Other critics thought it was brilliant. Only a few critics have had a lot of complaints about it. There's been a few. And the fans seem to be almost ambivalent, and I'm wondering, A, is it Memorial Day weekend, which since... it first became the big weekend to open stuff in 1981 when Raiders of the Lost Ark blew the box office away.
Yep.
Are people just not going? Well, that's what the predictors, the prognosticators, like Paul Dergarabedian, who is the head of Rent Track, and he does all that stuff. He thinks it's the weekend. People shouldn't be calling it a bomb, even though it's nowhere near making its $250 million budget back.
No.
Although I think it will be by the time it finishes. Or is it Star Wars fatigue? Was 5.5 months after Last Jedi too soon for this prequel? Would it have fit better in the Christmas range like all the rest of them have done? Or... is it truly just hated because nobody can fill Harrison Ford's shoes?
Okay.
Sean Patrick Flannery did it for the Indy character, and it did pretty well.
Yeah.
So.
Can I bring up the fact that, okay...
I'm asking for your opinion on this.
No, I understand. No, I do understand. But anybody who does the whole, nobody can fill the shoes of whoever, blah, blah, for whatever character, that's crap. You can have people play the character differently than somebody else.
Right.
You can have the character played badly by somebody else.
Right.
But when you consider that everybody has played... You look at a character like let me see. A character like Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
Everybody has played Sherlock Holmes. From Basil Rathbone to Benedict Cumberbatch to Robert Downey Jr. to, and everybody in between there. And I'm sure everybody has their favorite Sherlock Holmes.
Most people, it's Jeremy Brett. Just
I'm
getting it out there.
Sorry, I should have said Jeremy
I
Brett.
particularly like Basil Rathbone, but that's me.
To be perfectly honest, I like a bunch of different people for a bunch of different reasons.
Me too.
I like Jeremy Brett's real serious intensity. I like the fact that Basil Rathbone had kind of this, well, I'm going to win in the end anyway because I am the smartest guy in the room.
Right, which is how Benedict Cumberbatch is.
I like Benedict
too.
Cumberbatch because it's Benedict Cumberbatch.
What about Johnny Lee Miller?
I like his Sherlock too, but I like his Sherlock because I'm like, okay, you're really wicked smart and everything like that, but I really want to hug you because you're flawed and broken.
Yeah,
and it's
here we go again.
I can't help that.
The word damaged is going to come up
No.
I'm
not going to say it because you want me to, so I'm not going to. But
your point is, it's the characters. It's always the way it's interpreted.
My point is that Sherlock Holmes is one of the most I think so. I read somewhere Sherlock Holmes, Dracula, and Jesus Christ are some of the most often played people in films.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call Jesus Christ a character because that's rude.
Well, for the purposes of film, he's a character.
But my point, all right, fine. But my point is, nobody has ever been like, oh, well, they're going to cast blah, blah, blah as Dracula? Oh, that's going to ruin it forever!
But can I point out something, though?
What?
None of those are film-based. They're all from books. Sherlock Holmes and Dracula, and they're all from books. So that's fine. Those are literary interpretations. Hercule Poirot, the same way.
Right.
Han Solo is a feature film created character.
Right.
There was no books out there before him. There were comic books and everything else afterward.
Right.
But that character, for all intents and purposes, was written by George Lucas and created by Harrison Ford. So you have to be able to...
No. I disagree. He was created by George Lucas and interpreted that way by Harrison Ford.
Most people wouldn't see it that way because Harrison is on screen, and however he's playing it, he's creating what he does with George's help and the director's help. Irv Kirchner on one of them, and I've forgotten who directed Jedi.
All right.
But I'm saying that he did not have the advantage of tons of literary information first,
No.
And that character is indelibly stamped with Harrison Ford, unlike the literary characters. That's what I'm saying.
And
I think that's what makes the difference here.
Yeah, and if you had told me that people were going to accept somebody else playing Captain Kirk other than William Shatner,
I know.
I would have said you were nuts.
I agree. Star Trek works because they did it in a completely different vein. And today's audience was ready for that. But when it comes, and I hate to get now you're forcing me to go Trekker versus Warsies.
Okay, no, I'm not.
I don't like
that.
I don't like that. Don't you do that to me.
I'm not trying to do that.
Trekkers have always had an ability to a change and adaptive world. They were willing to accept the idea of next gen, which some diehard Trekkers were dead set against until they saw it. The same can be said for Enterprise, DS9, Voyager, and now Discovery. The same can always be said about that. But you're getting into that area because Star Wars fans, no offense to anybody, have an inborn ability to hate everything that doesn't involve the original cast in some way. Now, I don't mean characters. I'm saying that you can have, I'm trying to figure out how to put this. They don't want any revisions to the original canon. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
No revisions to the original canon. When you make a revision to the original canon, you risk stepping out of the Warsie comfort zone and into the troll zone, which is what's happening with Solo. Because Harrison Ford is not in the shoes of the character. I don't think it's that bad when it comes to Star Trek, because it wasn't just one character. They replaced the entire cast and started fresh. And I think that's what worked there. Okay. Am I not giving Warsies enough credit?
No,
or am I actually, in your experience, fairly close?
No, actually, I do think you're being, I don't think you're being unfair, and I don't think you're being inaccurate, although there was some bitching and screaming from my bad. There was some bitching and screaming from certain Star Trek fans when the 2009 version of Star Trek came out.
Yeah, we were one of them. I was one of them. I didn't think that it would work. I thought the idea of rebooting the original cast was an abysmal one. And then it came out that Anton Yelchin was playing Chekhov, and I was instantly on board because I was such a huge fan of Anton's. God love you, Anton. We miss you. And then I saw what they did in the trailers and in the previews, and I was most worried, even to the opening night, I was still worried about Zachary Quinto. Because Spock is such an iconic character that it's hard to step into.
Yep.
He won me over. It was that simple. Yep. I'm like, wow, he is better than I ever would have thought him to be.
Right.
So, I think the fans need to give Alden a chance, a chance to really find his footing as Solo, because I didn't think he was bad.
I did not.
I thought he captured the role pretty well. But now, because of the anemic box office, I mean, it is the number one film for the weekend, but 103 million in a 4-day period for a Star Wars movie is unheard of. Huh?
According to Wikipedia right now, the box office is at 168.
That's worldwide. I'm talking U.S. box office.
All right.
U.S. box office of 103 million is a low take for a Star Wars film.
I know. No, it is. And you're right. Although I would like to, at the risk of kicking off a Warsie Trekkie thing myself.
Okay.
Well, you're saying, Trek fans don't, start screaming and hollering. What about when the Borg were introduced in that episode of Enterprise and everybody we knew had collective heart failure?
Well, that's because Rick Berman's the Antichrist, and we're going to leave it at that.
Rick Berman is not the Antichrist. Eric Bischoff is the Antichrist.
No, it's Rick Berman. I mean, he that's our friend Jen's thing. He made a mistake, and he later admitted that he went against canon, and he realized the minute it aired that it was a big, big mistake. Notice, they never appeared again.
No. To be honest, I'm really kind of disappointed I've been disappointed in a lot of my fellow Warsies for quite a while, to be perfectly honest, and I hate saying it that way.
Since Last Jedi.
Yeah. Actually, no, I tell a lie.
Force Awakens too?
Yeah. Okay. I've been disappointed in Warsies since Force Awakens and Rogue One, when all of a sudden this very ugly...
Oh, but that's not really Warsies. That's this sycophantic little men must be in charge of everything 1%er group out there making fuss about all the women.
No, they're not just sexist, they're racist as well. They were completely aghast that, oh my gosh, a person of color could be in a lead role, that would, that kind
right,
of
but
crap.
They complained just as much about Carrie Fisher, about Laura Dern, about Felicity Jones.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been equal all the way across. They just don't want women in their boys' club.
No, they don't want...
Which is ridiculous, because Carrie was always, no offense, one of the boys.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire original series, she was one of the boys.
The second you have a female in a leadership role or a person of color up at the front, these jackasses feel threatened.
Why do they feel that way about Carrie in the recent movies? When, I mean, she kicks a lot of butt in Jedi. What the heck is up with that?
Because she was kicking a lot of butt in Jedi in a gold bikini. And
well, no, I mean later when she's on Endor, she's kicking a lot of butt too.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like, okay.
But they don't focus on that. They just focus on what
well, nobody focuses on Endor. Everybody except me, you and me seem to want to forget about Endor forever. Can I play Ewok Celebration?
People seem to forget that, cute can be
dangerous. All right, stop screaming at me out there. I can hear you.
See, the whole thing about the Ewoks and all that, people tend to forget cute can be dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm living proof
It's
of that.
well done. I don't know why people had a freak-out attack.
I am living
It's not like they're Jar Jar Binks, for Pete's sake.
I am living proof of the fact that cute can be very, very dangerous.
Or, what's his name, Dipstick from Frozen?
Stop hating on Olaf.
Olaf.
But,
hate Olaf. Anyway,
I really don't like... I really do feel disappointed by that very vocal, very ugly section of Star Wars fans that, I'm sorry, I never knew existed. I was like, where in the hell have all these people come from? Have they always been there?
Yes.
And
that's what the whole movie Fanboys was about. When you really think about it. Fanboys was a 1999 production. It was a small indie production that it took 4 or 5 years to come out finally. But it was basically about 4 obsessive Star Wars fans waiting in line to get tickets for Phantom Menace. And it's like...
Yeah, but they're not like sexist, racist jerks.
Oh, that's not what I've heard.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I'm going strictly by reports. But that's why Lucasfilm really was not happy with that film. So it's like, okay.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, this section of the fandom bothers me, and they disappoint me. They really bother me because they're the ones that get all the press.
Yeah.
They're the ones that when
people
think...
that's the one...
Yeah, see, that's the thing. They make the... See, this happens in every single solitary fandom that exists.
Well, not exactly the same way, but there is a faction in every fandom, yes, that it irritates everyone else. Yes,
you
I know.
have 90% of the fandom that are just really devoted, fun, friendly, intelligent, open-minded, kind people. Then you have a 10% of complete jerks.
I don't even know if it's that high. I'd go with more of maybe, depending on the show or the movie, I would say it averages more between maybe 3 and 7% rather than going clear up to 10%. Because they're vocal, but that doesn't mean they're anywhere near that much. It's always the same group of people.
But see, that's the thing. They're the people...
They're like the Westboro Baptist Church of the fandom.
That's a great...
I knew she'd like that.
That's a really good comparison. But they're the ones that get on TV.
They are, unfortunately.
And the really bad thing is I could deal with them being on TV because I'm just like, well, I'm glad I don't act like that.
Yeah.
But my problem is they're the people that average guy on the street, if you walked up to average guy on the street and said, hey, average guy on the street, what do you think a science fiction fan looks like? Average guy on the street's going to go, oh, well, they're overweight, they have bad complexion and greasy hair, and they live with their moms, and they dwell in the basement and write mean things on the internet.
And yet they complain about the middle-aged men and women who sit in Green Bay, Wisconsin in January.
No, but that's okay.
In December and January with no shirts on, half green, half yellow, and wearing their cheese heads going, Packers!
But you know what?
No offense to Packers fans.
But you know what?
Exactly.
To be perfectly honest, I'd rather hang out with those people.
I would too. I would too.
Because those people are having fun.
Yep.
And they're nice people. They're crazy, but they're nice people. We love you
guys.
We love
You're
Green
just
Bay.
kidding.
We love Wisconsin.
You guys make it easy because you're the only place that has those ridiculous hats.
And you make wonderful cheese and it's lovely. But my point is...
please, because we're training. I want to get this done.
Those are people that are having fun, and people look at them and they're like, "Well, they're kind of nuts, but they're having fun, and that's a good thing." They look at science fiction fans and they're like, "Well, they're all antisocial and weird and mean," and I'm like,
maybe we should start tailgating.
I'm like, no, we're not. We're nice people. We're funny people. We're social people.
We're crazy people.
Yes.
In a good way.
We are crazy people, but we're crazy people in a good way. We're not all sexist, racist, antisocial trolls living in a basement, hiding behind a computer, spewing out bile.
Okay, so all of that aside, what do you think is the reason? Is it the Harrison Ford reason, or is it the weekend, or is it...
I think it's a perfect storm of
all three.
I think it's a perfect storm of the fact that you have... It's Memorial Day weekend, and a lot of places, unlike outside, have really nice weather, and people are at the beaches and at cookouts and doing other stuff like that.
There was a time when Memorial Day meant big box office. It hasn't been that way most of the 2000s.
You have that. You do have a section of the fans that the second this movie was announced, they went, well, I'm not going, and I'm going to tell all my friends not to go, and all of my friends are going to tell their friends not to go, and so on and so on and so on.
Thank you, Charlton Woodchuck.
And so forth. And I do think there is a section of I do think there is a section that are going to always be like, only Harrison Ford is Han Solo, and nobody else is going to be that character.
Okay. Well, on that theory, I can tell you this. Mm-hmm. Surprise, surprise, our friend Stacy, who is the ultimate Han Solo fan, actually liked this film.
Yeah.
Which surprised both of us.
True.
So there you go. What do you think? Why did this movie run out of steam its first weekend? Can it make it back? We'd like to hear from you. SubjectCinema@PNRNetworks.com.
T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema.
Want to know what new films are coming out this weekend? Hi, I'm T.C. Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out 3 Minute Weekend, our weekly roundup of all the new films hitting U.S. theaters each weekend. We've got the 411 on all the new blockbusters, indies, and video-on-demand choices for you each week. 3 Minute Weekend, every Friday morning, from Subject Cinema and eCinemaOne.com, a PNR Networks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
The best movies. Subject Cinema.
The Silver Stream.
Listen, Mum, I've got guests over. Can I call you a bit later? Bill! Bill! April.
Congratulations.
Wonderful, wonderful youth.
Ridiculously handsome. Too bad he's a wanker.
We're going to be a family.
Oh, wow. I have never seen that happen before. It's not every day.
Kim took advantage of a movie she'd been wanting to see that popped up on demand, so she decided to pull it up and take a look at it for this week's Silver Stream, the UK black comedy called The Party. Give us the rundown.
The Party begins with a door being opened and a woman who looks a little bit, no, actually more than a little bit, upset, aiming a gun at whoever is at the door and looking extraordinarily wild-eyed. We suddenly cut, we come back, we are at earlier in the evening. You assume. We're not told that. We just kind of figure it out because we're the audience, and the director, Sally Potter, is obviously assuming we're a smart bunch. The Party is the story of Janet, who is a politician and has won an election for, she's going to be working for the Ministry of Health as a shadow minister, whatever that means, and is having a celebratory little shindig at her home. Janet is married to her husband, Bill, and while Janet's bustling around getting help and acidic remarks from her friend April, who has shown up for the party with her partner Gottfried, who is a life coach and spiritual healer, so according to him, which is fine. They're guests at the party. Also at the party is Martha, who is a professor of women's studies, Martha's partner Ginny, who is a chef, and Janet's colleague Marianne is supposed to be at the party with her husband, who is named Tom. As it turns out, only Tom shows up for the party. Tom is a banker, and when he shows up, he seems more than a little bit upset. He makes some excuses for Marianne, says she'll be along later, and pretty much promptly locks himself in the bathroom to do lines of coke. It seems like Tom is... First of all, it doesn't seem like Tom really needs the coke, since his nerves are pretty jangled as it is. But he seems to be taking the coke so he can steel himself to do something unpleasant. We're not entirely sure what it is until Tom takes the gun out of his coat. And I'm like, okay, so at least now we know what he was stealing himself for. But I'm like, you're already pretty, like I said, he's already pretty jangled. I don't think the coke's going to help. And it's sure as hell not going to help with your aim if you're that nervous anyway. The party isn't really your usual wildly celebrating, you know, hot time in the old town tonight kind of a party. Although everyone's happy that Janet has gotten the position that she has because she's worked at it for a very long time, and she's always had Bill's support. Bill left his prestigious professorship at Harvard to come and, you know, to be with her by her side as the devoted spouse, blah, 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 and all this stuff like that. The thing is, you can tell something about Bill is off. Because as Janet's bustling around and talking with April, who's a real bitch on wheels, and Gottfried, who I'm like, why are you with this woman? She is a world-class see you next Tuesday.
Oh!
She is. April is a total umbrage.
No, she's not in this.
No, she's not. Amazingly, she's not. Bill is just sitting there in a chair, occasionally changing records on a phonograph. Ask your parents. And
stop being condescending. Vinyl's coming back. Vinyl forever, man.
Anyway, Bill is also getting progressively drunker. Not like in a stumbling around, put a lampshade on your head kind of drunk, but very like staring off into the abyss and looking at something very unpleasant kind of drunk. Eventually, it comes out what is going on in Bill's head. Now, this is after all kinds of announcements about, you know, the whole thing about the reason for the party, for, you know, the fact that Janet's won this, you know, prestigious political seat, and that Jenny announces that she and Martha are going to be having children, obviously through artificial insemination, because they are a lesbian couple. And Ginny announces that she is pregnant with triplets. And Martha is less than enthused. And Bill announces that he also has an announcement. And I'm sitting there going, well, this isn't going to be all sunshine and roses. And Bill announces he's dying. And I'm sitting there going, told you. And, you know, everybody's completely, like, devastated. Janet's horrified and all like, you know, oh, I'll step down. I want to be with you during your final days and blah, blah, blah. And Bill keeps trying to tell her, he never raises his voice, but he's trying to explain to her that, no, that's not going to happen because I'm leaving you. And he's, you know, I was like, record scratch. You know, it was like, it turns out that, you know, Bill may be sick, but apparently he's not that sick because he's been having this affair. And you've got...
Don't give too much away.
I'm not. From there, you have this complete maelstrom of all of these very civilized people and very British people yelling at each other, screaming at each other, Tom reenacting the end of Scarface when it comes to the drugs that he's doing. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going, buddy.
He seems a lot younger than everybody here, too.
Yeah, he is. I'm like, buddy, I may not know that much about hard drugs, but I do know if you do that much cocaine, you are not going to be able to aim that gun, pal. And it culminates in just a complete breakdown of the very proper, very, British get-together.
Kristen Scott Thomas as Janet, Timothy Spall as Bill, Patricia Clarkson as April, Bruno Gans as Godfried, Emily Mortimer as Jenny, Cherry Jones as Martha, and Cillian Murphy as Tom. What'd you think?
There are black comedies, and there are pitch black comedies, and then there are standing directly on the lip of a black hole, peering over and going, ooh, I wonder what's down there comedies. This is leaning more toward that.
In other words, it's typical British black comedy.
Yeah, you definitely know that stuff is going to go wrong. Even if you didn't see the trailer for this film, you can just sense it, and you don't need to be Peter Parker or have Spidey sense to realize, oh, crap is going to go south really quick.
Yeah.
And it does. From the fact that you can just tell that Bill, played by Timothy Spall, is just sitting there, and just as all of this stuff is going on around him, and this whole celebratory, not only celebratory, but self-congratulatory stuff that's going on with Janet, who definitely feels like she's earned the position that she's, going to take in the government and stuff like that. Earned it through hard work. That whatever he's seeing has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on around him. Personally, I think his whole I'm leaving my wife thing, I think that decision was actually made before, oh, hello, I'm dying, came into the picture. I think he had already planned to leave his wife, and then life came along and went, oh, you were going to do that? That's so cute. Here's a little side swipe for you. That moment when life nails you right in the balls, that moment right there. It's a scathing film. It is extremely funny. It is short. It is a very short film. It is 71 minutes long. But when you think about it, Strychnine is short. You don't really take...
What?
When you think about it, you don't really need a whole lot of strychnine to kill somebody. But
that is the most messed up analogy I've ever heard.
What I'm saying is, it's very... No, really, when you think about it, it's small and deadly, and so is this film. You don't need to dump an entire bottle of strychnine in something to kill somebody. You just go, beep. And that's enough to kill them.
Right.
This film is short and poisonous, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's really well shot. It's just and the cast is completely fantastic. What I love about this film is the whole idea that these people are all so civilized. These people are all so representative of this civilized, safe, homogenized, politically correct world that so many people say they want to be a part of, but I think if they were actually a part of it for real, they would go stark, raving crazy. I want to bring up one person in particular, and I realize this is going to sound awful, and I feel terrible that I'm bringing it up this way. But as we've already established more than once, I can be a very bad person. Sorry.
It has nothing to do with it.
I can be a very weird person, and very weird things strike me as hilariously funny. Bruno Gans, the actor that plays Gottfried, I was sitting there through this entire movie, and I was staring at him. His character comes up with I mean, I know a lot of people would listen to the stuff Gottfried says. I actually wouldn't listen to the stuff Gottfried says because a lot of it sounds like very hippy-dippy 60s peace and love stuff. But to be perfectly honest, a lot of that hippy-dippy peace and love stuff, that makes perfect sense. It really does. But I'm looking at this guy through this entire movie, and I'm going, why do I know this man? I was just like, why do I know him? Where have I seen him?
He's a well-known British character actor.
Well, I figured it out.
Yeah.
If you have been surfing the internet and on YouTube at any point in the past, I don't know, 5 years, you have probably at least one time seen somebody's interpretation of Downfall. Downfall was a German TV. Was it a movie or a TV series?
It was a TV movie.
A TV movie in Britain about the last days of Adolf Hitler in the bunker.
No, was it in Britain or was it Germany? It was Britain.
No, I think it was German.
You said Britain.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I did say that. That it's the last days of Hitler in the bunker, and there's a specific scene where Hitler is ranting to his subordinates, and I don't know why, other than the fact that the internet is full of very strange people, that people took this clip and have put in their own...
all kinds of fake subtitles for
They
it.
put in their own
They're pretty funny, too.
ridiculous subtitles about every single subject you could possibly think of, and Mr. Gans is the gentleman that played Adolf Hitler. And for him to have gone from playing one of the most evil, vile human beings on the planet to playing this man Gottfried, who's this very gentle, actually very wise person, I was like, damn, this guy's an amazing actor. And stop laughing. Because I'm just sitting there having a complete hysterical attack because I am a very strange person.
So what's your score?
I give the party a very, very enthusiastic A. Definitely, if you are in the mood for something that just where you watch all of the the masks of civility get ripped off and chucked in the nearest shredder, the party is one you definitely should attend.
Party is now available for streaming all over the country, also available on DVD. It had a short film run a couple of months ago.
The best movies! Subject Cinema!
Want to know what top titles from film and TV are hitting home video this week? Hi, I'm TC Kirkham of Subject Cinema, inviting you to check out Tuesday Digidex, our weekly roundup of all the new home video releases in the U.S. each week. Whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming you're looking for, we've got it covered. Tuesday Digidex, every Tuesday morning, from Subject Cinema at eCinemaOne.com, a PNRNetworks podcast powered by Libsyn. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast service.
No film is too good or too bad for us. This is Subject Cinema.
As you know, over the last few weeks, we've been following the eventual downfall of MoviePass, the $9.95 per month system that lets you see a movie every day at big theaters. They had tried to change their policy a few weeks ago and imposed a 4-movie a month limit and forced an iHeartRadio subscription onto you. Well, they didn't like that. The people who had MoviePass didn't like that, and they let them know loudly. So now they're back to the original thing. Plus, for a lower rate now, $7.95 a month, you can do the 4 a month plus have to have the iHeartRadio subscription. They don't care that their stock continues to fall. MoviePass CEO Mitch Lowe is not interested in talking about the tanking price. He's still insisting that they're adding 90,000 subscribers a week, But I think when you probably lost 400,000 or 500,000 there when you made this announcement, that it hasn't happened. The shares fell again this week from 46 cents a share on May 24th to just 41 cents a share a day later. Now, they do insist that their film American Animals will open on time this coming Friday, June 1st. This is a caper comedy with Evan Peters and a number of other young actors based on a true story out of Transylvania University in Kentucky. And then, of course, 2 weeks after that, they're releasing Gotti, the John Travolta starring gangster flick with him playing John Gotti. And these are already set. The distribution's already set. Doesn't matter if they go bankrupt, they'll still be coming out. But will they make enough money back to help MoviePass survive? Everybody's guess is as good as mine. American Animals, which is sounds like it's going to be a really great movie, and I love Evan Peters and practically everything he does. So I'm definitely interested in seeing it. I am not too sure about John Travolta as Gotti, although people who saw the performance said it's pretty damn good. That he's pretty scary as the Mafia Don. But is it going to be enough to draw new subscribers? Well, they're not changing anything else. They are planning to build its own film catalog, but it's going to be of old movies, not new movies. It's like at theaters, to show at theaters. Catalog screenings would be exclusively at theaters, no streaming component. So that's interesting. The chance to see classic films in a theater setting.
Yeah, well, we do know Fathom Events does that now, and we've been to several of those, and they're always
TCM does a monthly series. We actually have tickets to the producers next weekend. There's also the question of why they've still refused to do couples. They've been promising couples for 10 years, and they've never delivered it. And I'm like, well, I'm willing to pay the fee, double the fee, or a slight discount on double the fee to get both of us, because that way we can be absolutely certain that we can get that. Now, Atom Tickets, which is its nearest competitor, is now about to unleash a new app that's supposed to be a lot better than the one they had before, and that will let you pick couples and families up to 4. We'll see if that actually happens. It's hard to do in this age of reserved seating, where a lot of theaters have reserved seating now. All of them in the Boston area do, practically. The only ones I can think of that don't are the Brattle and the Coolidge, as far as I know.
Brattle and Coolidge, the Kendall doesn't.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, do
now.
they now?
Yeah, they will be with the new, when they open the new, the renovations.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. They don't right now, but they will. And then I don't know how ArcLight's going to be open when they open later this year, and I don't know how Carasotis does it. I think
Coolidge doesn't, do they?
No, I just said that. We just said that.
Yeah, the Coolidge doesn't, but I'm thinking of somewhere else,
I don't know if Carasotis does it. I'm pretty sure they do. Most of the larger upscale theaters do it. And I like having the reserved seating, because we can reserve and know right where we're going to sit, no problems, no questions asked. And
you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry if you're a little bit late. You don't have to worry about not getting a seat.
Nobody's going to take it from you. I do have a problem with they don't have the mobility seats available usually, and for you, sometimes it's hard to get up and down the steps. But we manage, and it's not terrible.
It's not. It's not awful.
So
at least not at our local
showcase.
Multiplex.
Yeah, we had trouble at Shin Godzilla because we got stuck in the top row.
Yeah, so
that was different.
I had bigger problems with the seats there anyway.
Yeah, the tables were just really terrible.
Which is just a pain in the neck.
It was at Regal Fenway. It's interesting to see that they're not really adapting to what people really need. They're adapting to their own needs.
Right.
And so I'm still thinking MoviePass is going to be out of business before the end of the summer. We'll see what happens.
I don't know.
But I'd love to know, does anybody who listens to our show use MoviePass? I know a number of Clotrudis members that have memberships.
I was going to say, do we actually know anybody who
Yes,
uses
quite
this?
a few Clotrudis members use it, and they use it to see films they review, too, because they use it out there, at a number of different places. So we definitely would like to hear from you with your experience with MoviePass, if you have it, and whether you'd like to see them change things or make things better or what you'd like to see done with it, just to see if it's going to stay and whether they can become successful as a distributor. Should be interesting. Subject Cinema at PNRNetworks.com.
The films of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. This is Subject Cinema.
It's absolutely aptacular. The Subject Cinema Android app. Everything you need to be a rabid Subject Cinema fan. Subject Cinema, 3-Minute Weekend, Tuesday Digidex, and Front Row 5 and 10. All right at your fingertips and available instantly. Plus, email and voicemail links, Facebook and Twitter hookups, Patreon support specials, and more is coming real soon. Don't just listen, app it. The all-in-one Subject Cinema podcast app. Android version available now at Google Play or on PNR Network websites. Amazon and iPhone apps coming soon. Don't delay. Download today.
T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema.
Chipmunk.
Let's talk about expectations. There are certain expectations you have when you have certain events happening. One of the expectations that you have is that when you have professional journalists who are paid to write articles where they ask deep, probing questions of celebrities, that you're going to get deep, probing questions of celebrities. Sometimes they're serious questions, sometimes they're funny questions, sometimes they're kind of, okay, that was odd, but all right questions.
And sometimes they're dramatic chipmunk questions.
And sometimes they're this.
Mindy Kaling was on Seth Meyers this weekend and talking about an experience with an international reporter whose name and paper have remained redacted at this time, who were talking to herself and Anne Hathaway and Sarah what now? Sarah Paulson. Porter was speaking with Mindy, Sarah Paulson, and Anne Hathaway about their roles in the upcoming film Ocean's 8, which is where it's a kind of a sequel to the Ocean's movies with Sandra Bullock playing George Clooney's sister.
Yes, it's an all-female cast version of a heist film.
So as she was saying to him, she said, "Well, when you're doing these heist movies, everyone has their special power. Then Debbie Ocean pulls us together to do this heist." She was telling this to Seth Meyers. In the movie, Anne plays an actress and Sarah plays a party promoter. With me, the male reporter was like, "Mindy, you play a jeweler. Now, you're not married and you've never been engaged, so how do you know about diamonds?" She told Seth Meyers she still couldn't get her head around that question or why it happened. And and as she put it, the reporter was basically like, "You're a famous spinster. You've never been near a diamond before. So if you're not married or engaged, you've never seen a diamond." He was incredulous. He couldn't put it together. He was basically saying to me, "No man has ever loved you." And I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, number one, that particular statement is obviously for laughs. She was trying to get a laugh on the show. She obviously doesn't really feel that way. But how freaking clueless do you have to be? Oh dear. Oh dear. I see. I wish I had my thing. Okay. Doo-doo-doo! Dramatic Chipmunk presents Kim's Soapbox. This is not Darth Vader's soapbox. This is Kim's soapbox.
No, me and my spirit animal have just been having a long discussion. And...
So what's the Wookiee say?
You know my spirit animal is Godzilla. Don't say that.
Oh, okay, fine.
Okay. Now, I told myself I was going to do this without swearing.
And you're going to do it without swearing.
I am.
Grudgingly.
Thank you, spirit animal, for the stranglehold you had on my vocal cords. I don't know how to break it to this sexist piece of goat dung, but this may come as a complete shock to you, sir. Kane Hodder is not really a serial killer. Chris Hemsworth is not really a demigod. And Michael Keaton is not really Batman.
Well, no, Ben Affleck is Batman.
No, he's not.
Okay, fine.
Not to mention, Natalie Wood wasn't really a stripper. Cate Blanchett isn't really the Queen of England. And Meryl Streep is not the Prime Minister of England.
Or Julia Child.
Or Julia Child. Or a Holocaust survivor. You know what all of those people that I just mentioned have in common? They're all actors.
Seth Meyers actually replied to her comment. He thought that the reporter must not understand how acting works, as none of the cast members of Ocean's 8 have actually ever pulled off a heist before.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'd love to know where this reporter is from, what paper he works with, because he's an idiot.
You, sir, are one of the most ignorant pieces of dreck that I have ever heard of.
Ever?
Why you are not in a home somewhere, I have absolutely no idea.
Hey, the guy's not Jiminy Glick, for Pete's sake.
The only reason you're not in a home, sir, is because so far as I know, no place has something actually called the Home for the Terminally Stupid. Get a clue. And get a life.
Don't end that the way you usually do.
Sir, you are a dastardly poltroon, and I wipe my feet off at you. I shake the dust from my shoes off at you, sir.
I wipe my feet at you? You mean you?
I wipe my feet on your carpet, and I shake my dust from my shoes on your floor.
Oh, I knew we'd get comedy gold out of this one.
You are an insult to journalism. You are an insult to human beings. You are an insult to men, and goodness knows how difficult that can be. You are an insult to bipeds, and you are an insult to multi-celled individuals. Fork off!
Needless to say, Mindy wasn't that PO'd about it, but...
No, because Mindy's a nice person. You know, I, on the other hand, can be a very not nice person.
I don't agree. You're always nice.
You're sweet.
And that's Dramatic Chipmunk for this show. Welcome back, Charlton.
Real movies for real people. Subject Cinema.
Of course, that was a completely bad reference. That was supposed to be Charlton Woodchuck, not Charlton Chipmunk. It's an Animaniacs character. Wow. Okay, after that rant, I think it's time to take off. We've had fun. It's nice getting back into the saddle with the full shows. And
nice getting back into the swing of things.
Swing, what, a golf club? Or a bat? Or...
No, I was just saying swing of things.
And just swinging, that's boring. Just a swinging, like John Anderson used to sing. Hated that song. Anyway.
What are you talking about?
Never mind.
Well, it's not like I was inferring we were swingers or anything. I wouldn't infer that in front of a live mic. That's...
Anyway, we hope you've enjoyed this show, and we hope you'll pass it off to your friends. That's what it's for when you're listening to it. No matter where you're listening to it, please like, subscribe, and share. Yeah. Share is important. Share it with a loved one. Share it with a friend. Share it with your worst enemy. Just share it. Please, because we need all the help we can get.
I don't think we want to market the show as share it with people you don't like.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that it would be like we'd have a diverse audience that way. You can catch the show on all of the major sites, YouTube and iTunes and all the major podcast sites, plus, of course, on eCinemaOne.com and SubjectCinema.com, and we hope that you'll be doing that all the time. Also, don't forget, please, that we are... in need of your help. We are...
Some of us would argue we're beyond...
solely sponsored by our fans. Don't interrupt me. And we have a way for fans to help us out, and that's our Patreon campaign. We'd like you to become a Patreon patron. I will have the brand new guidelines up next weekend. There's going to be some great new perks, and we hope that you will join us. Mm-hmm. We'll get to have all kinds of fun with it. Also, starting in June, we're going to be doing 2 or 3 new things on Subject Cinema. I want you to keep an eye out on eCinemaOne.com and SubjectCinema.com for that, and I will be announcing them on Twitter and Facebook and stuff too. But we'll need you guys to participate or they won't work, so please remember to keep an eye out there and check that out. We have a whole host of other shows connected to Subject Cinema. Front Row 5 and 10 every Thursday. Our list show where we count up lists of all manners of things. Our My Mini shows, 3-Minute Weekend, and Tuesday Digidex covering the latest in releases. On Friday, it's the theaters, and on Tuesday, it's the home video. Plus, we each have some other stuff. Yes. I have a show called Catastrophe Vortex that's still in limbo, and we'll be back sometime soon. I'm sorry. It's normally on Mondays. It's about disaster movies, and I hope you'll check it out. If you haven't seen it already, check it out what I have up, and stick around for what's coming. Okay. Also, Kim has 2 shows of her own.
Yes, I do.
Although one of them is about to end for the season.
Yes. I have Platinum Rose's Garden, which is my Supernatural podcast. Supernatural has ended for season 13, and we're already looking to season 14, and I've already bitten my nails up to the elbows. But no, I haven't. Just a bit to my wrist.
My God, those are long nails.
But I am looking back on season 13, so hopefully you'll come and check out my show this week. I also have another show, Ring Around the Rosie. I have been a wrestling fan for entirely too long. And I have a show where I do reviews of this week's Raw and SmackDown. And I also talk about whatever is going on in my head at that time. My most recent show was a little different. It was usually I'm pretty kind of wacky and fun on my show. This one was a lot more serious and a lot more somber. Looking back on memories of mine of the late, great Owen Hart. And I hope you will check that out over at ringaroundtherosie.net. And also the other shows that are part of our little family, our little island of misfit toys. Those would include Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie, 2 very fun people that have their own show where they talk about movies and games, and Cavebabble eats odd things, and they're really fun, gracious folks, and we hope you'll check them out as well.
And we have Aunt Bee's Nerd Grotto, our latest show, now available exclusively on the YouTube channel of that name, featuring Anthony Lamberti from another show we have, Comic Grotto, with Aunt Bee and Pee-wee, although it's on hiatus. We'll be back later sometime in June. And we hope that you will be checking out both of those. And we have a few other things in development, including a companion to our first ever dramatic production, Manhattan Hammerdown As It Happened, available at manhattanhammerdown.com. It is a dramatic production, 90 minutes plus long, movie story, audio story, of what happened in New York, besides what we see in the film, the night Clover arrived. It's the 10th anniversary Cloverfield special.
It's a real labor of love. I think it came out super cool, if I do say so myself.
And that's available at manhattanhammerdown.com or on our YouTube site. You can get there by clicking the link on the website.
And if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow me at PlatinumRoseLady at twitter.com. And you can follow TC at a couple of different sites.
Well, I'm usually eCinemaBoston TC on Twitter, or just eCinemaBoston, but I'm also eCinemaOne and TKR online. And by the way, still waiting to make the official premiere of the Kirkham Report on YouTube. It'll be on Saturdays. My first episode is still hung up with these bastards from the orchard holding it up over little tiny song clips, and it's transformative, it's fair use, it fits the thing, and I'm going to go after these mothers if they don't get it. Now I have to wait till June 5th. If they don't reply by then it should automatically be released. So there you go. Balls in your court, assholes! Anyway, just ridiculous, because I mean, all these other Eurovision things are out there. All of them. There's nobody. The two people had hits, and they kind of sped up the music a little bit on the songs, and the same songs are probably what's caught on mine. But I'm not going to do that because it ruins the integrity of the entire show, which is my commentary on why or why not I liked the songs and what I liked about Eurovision before the contest happened 2.5 weeks ago. Yep. So come on. Let's get on the stick. Anyway, anything else?
Yeah, there is something else that we should talk about because I think it's really important, specifically for today. It is Memorial,
as we're recording.
Yes, as we're recording this day and date, it is Memorial Day, and we would be remiss if we didn't say a big thank you to those who gave their lives in service to this country to preserve our freedoms for us to come on the air and say what we want and, be as crazy as we like to be, because we do tend to forget sometimes freedom isn't free. It's won by the sweat and blood and sacrifice of the people who are willing to stand up and keep us free. So to the families who have said goodbye to loved ones, thank you and thank them for their service to us because they paid the ultimate price for our freedom.
And also all the current servicemen out there.
Be safe
as well.
and come home.
Yes, please do. And on that note, for Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
TTFN.
Bye now.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2017 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
That's all.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.